Alright, this is John Cole with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and I'm on another field trip, and this one is going to be one of the most amazing videos I've ever made about aquaponics ever. Where we're at today, we're here in Austin, Texas at Austin Aquaponics, and as you guys can see, it doesn't look like much from the outside, which are basically two big greenhouses where they can control the temperature to allow them to grow things where they maybe normally couldn't, you know, both in the summer and also the winter. I mean, it's currently the winter time right here in Austin, and then you still got basil plants living inside producing, and this is completely amazing. So, you know, Rob Nash is, you know, been into aquaponics for over 10 years now, and he is, you know, in my opinion, one of the innovators and leaders in the whole field. He does so many experiments, you know, he's not like some PhD dude, but he's down here in the trenches, you know. He's so busy that I'm here in Austin for a week, and this is the only time for a small window of time that he can even see me. So it's like, I'm completely happy to be here, and more importantly, amazed and excited to share with you guys what Rob is growing inside and how he's doing it, because he's doing it differently than anybody else in aquaponics that I've ever seen. So anyways, let's head inside to the greenhouses and show you guys what's growing on. So now I'm going to head into just one of the two greenhouses that they have here at Austin Aquaponics, and it looks like to me they basically got a whole bunch of different systems growing on, because whether you're gardening in soil, whether you're growing in aquaponics, there's always a system, you know, that you need to set up and properly follow, otherwise you're not going to be successful. So it looks like they got to me some deep water culture aquaponics, basically also some stuff growing in some media, some gravel. They got a little area for seed starting. They also got, wow man, some wicking beds. I know this is going to be simply amazing. So let's go ahead and show you guys how the aquaponics works here, because it works a little bit differently than many places I've visited. So now we're in a climate controlled portion of the greenhouse that contains the two large fish tanks. Now you guys can't see the fish, but I can. There's a bunch of tilapia down in here. And you know, for many people in aquaponics, you know, fish are the driving force that makes the aquaponics, you know, happen. Well, you know, this may or may not be true, because one of the things Rob is doing, he's doing literally fishless aquaponics, and you have to stay tuned for a little bit longer in the video for that part of this. But in this area, he does have the fish where he is growing them and feeding them, and then of course aquaponics, how it works is you feed the fish, they make the fish poop and the fish pee, and then that fish poo and pee is then sent out to the plants, you know, in a few different ways, and it is filtered through biofiltering or through natural bacteria, fungi, earthworms, and different creatures that basically turn that into nutrients for the plants. So I guess the fish aren't too excited because they kind of blend into the water here. Let's go out and take a look at some of the plants he's growing. So after the fish poo and pee in the water is then sent into these gravel beds, and these beds are huge. This one actually still contains basil here in the winter time in Austin. They're still growing. He's growing the Genovese basil that makes nice large leaves, and the customers like, and they grow particularly well in the system here. And one of the cool things is basically all this media here, the rocks, is the filter for the fish poo and pee. It comes out here, gets filtered in here. There's different bacteria and creatures in here that basically are digesting the fish poo and pee and turning it into plant food. And I mean, that is the secret of aquaponics. And so once it goes through these 4 beds, it then goes into the float and raft system where he's growing the lettuce. So hey, I think they're working over there today, so let's go ahead and check out and see what they're doing. So now I want to share with you guys another area of the grow here, and it's basically the raft system. So you know, you guys saw the system and the rocks and all that, but beyond that they have a whole soilless system just in rafts, and they're growing tons of beautiful lettuce here. What they're doing today, we got Mark Williamson, who's actually one of the team members here at Austin Aquaponics. He's actually taken the Butter Crunch lettuce here that's really planted tightly, and because these guys get so big, they actually got to move them over into the new raft and space them out and leave some holes so that they can actually grow bigger to market size. So what I want to do next is actually show you guys some of the rootage on these plants and how healthy they're growing. So now we're looking at the deep water culture here at Austin Aquaponics, and this is completely amazing. I mean, Rob has so many tricks of the trade to literally maximize production. You know, you guys just saw Mark dividing the plants, and basically in these rafts here made by Aquaponics, which are really cool. I like it a lot because they're pre-made, they're UV stabilized with planting holes every like 4 inches. And you guys can see, check out the rootage, man. These guys are some healthy roots. What Rob does, right when he plants and transplants the initial lettuces, he plants using every single hole. And this is not normally done. What's normally done is they basically use every other hole because the plant's going to get large. So what he does, right when he plants them, he uses every hole, and as they get bigger, when they're going to start crowding each other out, then he pulls ones out to leave spacing in between, and that's what Mark was doing. This increases his production by like 35% instead of just spacing them, you know, more far apart. This is one concept I wish I could use in my own raised bed garden, because in a raised bed garden you can't really move plants once they're planted. But what you could do in a raised bed garden when you do plant your lettuce, you know, interplant them with something like radishes that'll grow pretty quick and be done by the time the lettuce gets large. So I know what you guys might be wondering, John, okay, we saw the fish, we saw the gravel beds, we saw the water culture beds where they're growing the lettuce, but where do the plants come from? Well, he actually gets the seeds, the organic seeds, and starts everything from seed here that is produced, and he gets the high mowing seeds that are organic, and then basically he starts the seeds in the flats under the lights that we're looking at here, and these guys are growing. And let's take a look. Wow, check out these roots, man, looking really nice. He grows them in here for a little bit under the lights, and then when they're big enough, he takes them outside into a flood and drain bed where they're basically fed the fish water that's been filtered before they get transplanted out into the beds outside. So let's take a look at that setup next. So here's a flood and drain bed that he actually uses to basically grow the plants out larger before transplanting them in to the other gravel bed or the float bed, and they look all pretty good. Now I want to stop here. You know, he does use organic seed and, you know, uses organic growing practices here, but it's not certified organic. You know, I think certified organic, you know, for the most part is a sham, because you never know kind of what the farmer is doing, and so there's certain rules in organic agriculture that I definitely do not agree with. That being said, at least it is some kind of standard to know how your food is produced. Even better than knowing how your food is produced is, of course, to produce it yourself. And that's why I think that growing your own food, getting your own aquaponics setup is the best thing to do at all, because then you know exactly what is sprayed, what is used on the food. So actually, what I want to do next is, because there's a common misconception that, oh, if you just have the fish and you got the gravel beds, you got the plants, that's everything you need. Well, let me tell you, you know, his style of aquaponics is different than others. You know, he has a more model like I do with my soil garden. You know, he really enriches the beds here, the growing media for the plants, to give them all the different nutrients they need. He has, you know, bunches of different things that he uses in addition to the fish, and sometimes without the fish, to get everything to grow and look as great as they do. So let's go head over to his secret bunker and show you guys some of the nutrients, organic approved nutrients that he uses that I would definitely approve of. Alright, so now we're looking at just one of the many areas that he has all the different nutrients, or some of the different nutrients he uses. I mean, he has nutrients all over in different locations for different beds, and he's always experimenting and doing something a little bit different so that he can learn and grow as a farmer, and more importantly also as someone who teaches this stuff to you guys. And I want to encourage you guys out there to, you know, when you garden, don't just garden as like, oh yeah, John showed me this and that's what I'm going to do. Well, I mean, that's a good starting point, but I always want to encourage you guys to you know, have like a childlike mind and always experiment. Well, hey, what if I did it like this? It might be better, or of course it might be worse. But if you don't try, you're never going to learn. So, you know, he uses lots of different nutrients, experiments with some, has some study ones that he uses, like you know, all the time. And I don't know which one of these is like experimental or non-experimental, or which ones are tried and true. I know he does like the Actinovate and the another one by the Actino Iron, and these are Armory listed. He uses like organic inputs. Another line that he's using these days that he's really into, and you'll learn more about this in a little bit, is the Omna Essential Raw, and this is basically the soybean aminos. That's a nitrogen source. He also has, of course, kelp and the general organics, organic line, bio seaweed, of course the earth juice. I mean, we can go down all the different natural products, humic acid, and you know, besides being able to use these in a water-based system like he is, of course you could also use these in a soil-based system. He also has, of course, the compost tea activator, because he's actually brewing his own compost tea that actually we'll look at next. Of course, neem oil, which is an organic way to control the pests, which I have a really good episode on. Biomin, all different kinds of stuff here, man. Growers Secrets. I mean, I could just go down all these different things he's using. You know, I don't want to waste your guys' time. Oh, another really cool thing that he uses here that I'm really into is he's also really into the trace minerals. You know, when I come and visit a farm or see a grower using the trace minerals, you know, I know they know their stuff, you know, because it's very important, besides just the NPK that's in standard fertilizer bags, is to get the trace minerals in your garden, guys. He's got the C90 product here, which is like a food grade salt. It's quite salty. And he uses this to get his plants up to 90 different trace minerals. And besides just the sea salt product he's using here, he also adds rock dust and rock powders, which are a very critical component to his grow operation. That's why I believe, you know, some of his plants look like the healthiest plants that I've ever seen at any aquaponic farm I visited. I mean, I've visited plenty of aquaponics farms where things are kind of like stunted growth, the leaves aren't green enough, the plants